let me go ahead and now pull up a story that I think is emblematic of one of the many failures in sports media. And I believe Dub has this audio. A guy named Domonique Foxworth, I believe is his name. Is that right? I'm not that familiar with him. Is that correct, Dub?
I believe so.
Former NFL player. He was on a podcast, and I want you to listen to this audio. We're going to open up the phone lines. He is an ESPN analyst, former NFL player, and he said that he roots against Josh Allen because he doesn't like the people who are Josh Allen fans. Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen having an incredible season. The Bills are on track to host their first home playoff game since 1995. Maybe, I don't want to get the Bills Mafia too fired up, but just maybe you guys are going to be able to win your first playoff game since 1995. If you do, much of it will be because of Josh Allen, who is playing out of his mind right now. That's not good enough for Domonique Foxworth, who went after Josh Allen. Listen to his rationale. Everybody, here we go. Solid. Okay. Solid work by everybody. Not surprised.
No. Before you go on a rant, I backed it up on purpose. We momentarily have access here in Sherman Oaks.
Well, what is your explanation for how you managed to fail there, Dub?
Well, I put it on the old computer here and push play, but I guess you guys didn't hear it. I heard it loud and clear, but I guess
nobody else. Did anybody else hear it? I didn't hear it.
No, I didn't hear it.
All right. So we're trying to set it up perfectly. I laid it out like a radio pro would, and then not surprisingly, it didn't work. All right.
But while you were doing the lead up, I hurried up on the momentary internet connection I have, and I got it ready.
All right. So now you're teasing this, and it's probably not going to work. All right. Here is the second opportunity. This is Domonique Foxworth talking about Josh Allen. Take two.
It's based on the people that are defending Josh Allen. I would be 100% lying if I said that when Josh does something dumb, a little part of me doesn't get happy. And it's not because I want Josh to succeed. It's because the people who are telling me that Josh is the second coming and Josh is better than everybody are people with American flags and dogs and skull and crossbones and the Abbeys. And then if you go just take a dip into their tweet history, it's some really concerning retweets and likes.
All right, so he is rooting against Josh Allen, and he enjoys when Josh Allen fails because people who root for Josh Allen in their social media profiles, they have pictures of the American flag and dogs. All right, I can't think of anything that is less controversial to have in your profile picture on social media than an American flag and a dog.
Racist.
In fact, if you had to pick two things that you would think would offend no one in the country other than maybe children, I'm not sure you could top the American flag and dogs as an avatar photo on social media. All right? Domonique Foxworth said that. I want to open up phone lines here. Imagine if a white ESPN employee had gone on an ESPN podcast and he had said, I root against Lamar Jackson because of what I see people posting on their avatars on social media. He would be fired immediately. And this is what people get. This is why people get fired up a lot of times about me. Because they want me to play favorites. They want me to change the rules for what can be said based on who you sleep with or what color you are or who you vote for, all those things. And I hold everybody to the exact same standard. Now, I don't believe in cancel culture. But if a white guy says the exact same thing that Domonique Foxworth just said about Josh Allen, and he says it about Lamar Jackson, he's fired within 5 minutes from ESPN. Now, this is a stupid comment for Domonique Foxworth to say, and I don't believe in cancel culture. But what I do believe in is everybody being held to the same standard regardless of their race, their gender, their ethnicity, where they were born, what job they have. Everybody should be held to the same standard. Why can't Domonique Foxworth say he's rooting against Josh Allen and say the reason he's rooting against Josh Allen is because Josh Allen supporters have American flags and dog pictures in their avatars, and it's completely acceptable? But if the same thing were said by a white analyst about Lamar Jackson, he would get fired immediately, be the number one story in all of sports. All right, I'm going to bring in the crew. Stupid thing to say. Is there any doubt that if the exact same thing was said about Lamar Jackson by a white guy, he gets fired?
No doubt about that. There was a lot of laughter. I hope it was said in jest and they were kidding. I'm not sure about
But even then, the joke doesn't make sense.
Well, you cannot look at comments to something or who's commenting and then base your opinion on that. I mean, what a messed up world if we all went to Twitter and then formed our opinions based on who was commenting on things.
It's one of many reasons why social media is broken and has broken the country in many ways. Dub, is there any doubt that if a white ESPN analyst says the exact same thing about Lamar Jackson, that he is fired within 5 minutes?
Well, it'd certainly be the story of the day.
The story of the day. It would be like multi-day stories. Lamar Jackson would comment on it. It would turn into like, oh, look at how racist America is. It would turn into, ESPN would be the kings of turning this into a monster story.
Yeah, and then at the press conferences leading up to the game,
they would ask the coaches about it. They would ask the other players about it.
The other team.
Yes, the other team. Like everybody. And yet, this is just so insanely stupid. And by the way, the idea that it's controversial to have an American flag picture, I mean, am I crazy? Or is that kind of something that's supposed to unite us? Is the American flag controversial now? I guess it is if you're a Marxist. I guess it is if you're an ESPN analyst. I mean, this is the exact same thing that this is why so many people, first of all, this is why this show is surging in popularity. Because ESPN doesn't represent the average American sports fan. Because the average American sports fan is like, they hear that audio and they're like, they're paying that guy a lot of money, way more money than the average American makes, to come on ESPN programming and say that the reason he roots against Josh Allen is because Josh Allen supporters like the American flag and dogs. And so as a result, he can't root for Josh Allen to be a good quarterback? I mean, it's crazy. Eddie, you've been doing updates for a long time. What happens if a white ESPN analyst says the same thing about Lamar Jackson?
I would assume he would probably be fired pretty much immediately.
Yes. And I bet I'm the only person that will even mention the Domonique Foxworth comments. Anybody doubt that? Like, will anybody else in media who has any kind of national platform even mention those comments about Josh Allen?
Doubtful.
Probably not.
I mean, how crazy is that? I mean, this is one reason why the media is so distrusted. Because I look at my job as, whether you love or hate me, I look at my job as I'm here to call balls and strikes. You may agree or disagree with my opinions, but it's very rare you can point to one of my opinions and say, oh my God, Clay Travis treated this situation completely different than every other. And that's because ultimately I kind of consider every opinion that I have, they have to connect. And maybe that's the lawyer in me, where everything that you end up supporting as a lawyer has to be supported by precedent. And so the decisions that you make, you can't just go willy-nilly pulling opinions out of the air, because I wouldn't respect anybody who did that. Because I'd be like, well, last week you said this, and this week you're saying this. Like, no. All of my precedents align. And so I would respond the same way regardless. The media doesn't. Domonique Foxworth, because he's a black guy talking about a white guy, can say anything, even if it's wildly, stupidly ridiculous and crazy with no substantive basis to it. and nobody even reacts. But if a white guy working at ESPN or any other sports media company for that matter says the exact same ridiculous things about Lamar Jackson, he gets fired on the spot. And my argument is the precedent should be the exact same, regardless of your race, your gender, your ethnicity, everything. We should treat everybody's comments the same. You shouldn't be able to say, well, as a black guy, I can say this. Or as a Hispanic woman, I can say this, right? Like there should be a standard of speech which is the same for everybody. And I think that's why so many people are fed up with the media, because the media, frankly, doesn't have that same standard for everybody. And so they're breaking precedents left and right. And if you are the right identity, whatever that identity can be, then you're allowed to say things that everybody else can't. Why don't we have one standard of speech? If something's unacceptable for one person, it should be unacceptable for everybody. So straightforward. It's easy. And so let me play that one more time for you. I'll open up phone lines, 877-996-6369. I'll let you guys react to it. Just need the first part, Danny G. The conversation was about Josh Allen. Josh Allen, who is having one of the best seasons for a quarterback in the NFL this year. In fact, if you ask me to rank the three best, if I had to give a gold, a silver, and a bronze medal right now for quarterback play in the NFL, I would go gold medal, Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. I think he's going to be the best quarterback for the next decade or more. I would go silver medal, Aaron Rodgers. Phenomenal season, by the way. Both of those guys are quarterbacks of the overall number one seeds right now in the AFC and the NFC. Gold medal, Patrick Mahomes. Silver medal for Aaron Rodgers. Bronze, I would give right now to Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is having the third best season of all quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Now, you might disagree. Maybe you want to bump up Russell Wilson. He hasn't played. I don't think Russell Wilson has that well in the last several weeks, so he's out of my top three. I think most of you out there would agree that if I had to give a gold, a silver, and a bronze medal right now, those would be the best three. So they're talking about Josh Allen. He's having a good season. But Domonique Foxworth, who is paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by the NFL, by ESPN, to talk about the NFL, he's not willing to root for Josh Allen. Why? Because some people who support Josh Allen, man, they have American flags and dogs in their social media avatars. Listen to this.
It's based on the people that are defending Josh Allen. I would be 100% lying if I said that when Josh does something dumb, a little part of me doesn't get happy. And it's not because I want Josh to succeed. It's because the people who are telling me that Josh is the second coming and Josh is better than everybody are people with American flags and dogs and skull and crossbones and the Abbeys. And then if you go just take a dip into their tweet history, it's some really concerning retweets and likes.
Okay, according to Domonique Foxworth, white guys primarily like Josh Allen, and so he roots against him because white guys, that's what he's saying, right? I mean, there's no doubt here what he's saying. White guys with American flags and dog avatars are supporting Josh Allen, and so he roots for him to fail. Flip the races here 5 minutes after it goes public. Whatever ESPN analyst it is saying that about Lamar Jackson gets fired. Domonique Foxworth, nobody's even going to notice. In fact, I'll be the only person talking about this.